Good afternoon, folks. This is your host Asim Mathur, along with my friend Teev Bose, who needs no introduction. This is our third podcast, and today's topic is a very pertinent topic which we are going to discuss is around Integrated Command and Control Center, or what we call ICCC. इसका impact आपको शहरों में, hospitals में, large infrastructure में, and the testimony, if we have to talk about, we are seeing the same thing in the Kumbh Mela. What is happening is we have one of the biggest command and control center established out there. So what is the relevance of ICCC? What the developed nations have done rightly on using ICCC, where we are in India. These are the few things which we are going to discuss in today's podcast, and who better than Teev can talk about it. So over to you, Teev, just to give a flavor of ICCC.
Sure. I think what we are discussing is the nerve center for any large infrastructure. बहुत सारे बड़े कॉम्प्लेक्स एंड डेटा सेट्स को अगर आर्काइव करके एक एग्रीगेट करना है तो आपको ICCC की ज़रूरत पड़ती है. For any business to take it to the final business goal, you need the ICCC, and the most important thing is you have to have a couple of set of people. One is the functional consultants who would know the objective of the business, and then people like us who are the technical consultants put them together. मैं इसको इस तरह से एक्सप्लेन कर सकता हूँ कि अगर आपने कार का डैशबोर्ड देखा है, टुडे आई थिंक ओवर द टाइम द कार डैशबोर्ड्स हैव बिकम मोर funky for us, but I think the kind of information it gives, it tells us the kind of speed at which we are going about 20 years back, but today it also tells us that how much time would it take to reach the destination. It tells us about the tire pressures, it tells us about the amount of fuel we have in the tank, but the most important thing is the maintenance. So the next maintenance cycle, we get an alert. And I think, so while we are driving the car, we exactly know everything about.
No, but it would be like, if I have to say in a medical terms, it will give you all the parameters, what we get it done, like ECG and all the things we get.
Exactly.
We get all the parameters at a single place where a doctor can look into everything and come to a conclusion what rightfully he has to do for that particular patient. So
That's
this
right.
is ICCC would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think ICCC is a little more than that. It's almost an insurance plan for any large infrastructure. So an infrastructure should also work for almost 15 to 20 years, and
Absolutely.
that is where ICCC comes in, because the moment there is any problem, the escalation methodologies, the incident management and so on and so forth. So ICCC आपको एक single window देता है, ये जो भी whatever we have discussed just now. The rate at which the urban population has gone to the next level, उसने एक demand supply between the requirement of water, the requirement of mobility, the requirement of waste management, इन सबको पीछे छोड़ दिया है. Now, without ICCC, you would not have the information coming from all these areas which have created so much of problems. So वो information जब आती है उस पे आप एक निर्णय लेते हैं और वो ICCC लेता है आपके लिए. So before you take these decisions, you exactly know what are the problems, and those are the standard operating procedures which we have been.
I mean, correct. I mean, actually speaking, इसका मकसद भी तो वही ICCC का what I can make out,
True.
to give that kind of insurance plan for any successful project.
True.
So this is what I can just
And
say.
along with that, I think the inventory, करोड़ों रुपए का सामान आप खरीदते हैं to make any infrastructure solid, and that inventory management from when the equipment is brought in and when it suddenly becomes an asset out of an inventory, and then the people who would be managing it, so the crew productivity would be also managed by the ICCC. And finally, when the infrastructure is almost ready, you have to put SLAs to get the best services out. So all these three things together, what really makes an ICCC
Yes.
important.
I mean, look, what you are saying, these are the ingredients for
These are the
ICCC.
ingredients. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
in light of ICCC, because I know we have discussed on SLAs, SOEs in
Yeah,
detail
of
for other
course.
projects, but
Sure.
in lieu of ICCC, can you explain
Yes,
a bit more?
absolutely. I think the standard operating environment, which is the key to an ICCC, that's the thought process. And once we have the SOE with a lot of clarity, we need to put the SOPs, the standard operating procedures. So all these smaller standard operating procedures culminating into the SOE makes the ICCC, you get a solid ICCC. With that, you have to have a scope of work. So to
Correct.
make this infrastructure, you need the timelines. You can't just go haywire and you
Absolutely.
waste so many
Correct.
months and years. So if you have the right kind of scope of work and the right kind of crew, the expertise which would be needed to get this infrastructure where it wants to go, I think you have the SOW. And finally, as I said, once the project is ready, we need to do a lot of maintenance schedules. And this maintenance schedules would actually manage the infrastructure for those 15, 20, 50 years.
Correct. So basically, what I would term these things is the priorities for any project.
That's
That
right, yes.
so
Setting
इसी से
priorities.
empowerment होगा. I mean, like
बिल्कुल
for
ठीक.
any project,
हाँ.
we'll have the right kind of empowerment if we have the priorities defined very, very clearly.
जी
But
बिल्कुल.
unfortunately, my experience and hearsay also, the RFPs which are there in our country, what is coming out, would hardly have anything much defined or in detail about ICCC. It will be rather more hardware centric RFPs, where they will define what hardware is required, or like for example, video wall, etc. Or they will talk about furniture even, but they will not even talk about ICCC, which is software driven or heart and soul of any project. Why it is so?
हम तो इस जद्दोजहद से रोज गुजर रहे हैं सर. The commodity in hardware, in extron switches, in CCTVs, sorry, video walls, would become the key portions of an ICCC, whereas they're only the output mechanism. The essential part is what exactly would you need out of this project. So
Correct.
you're not getting that, and the RFP बिल्कुल ही एक दूसरे एरिया को फोकस कर रहा है. और उससे हो क्या रहा है कि यू हैव अ substantial amount of money getting wasted
Absolutely.
without the final results coming out of it.
But you see, I mean, like for RFP, any RFP, I mean, like there where the technical guys come in play a major role. I mean,
True.
or we call it consultants or whatever you want to call
Sure.
them. So why don't we have these technical consultants available? Or if they are they expensive? I mean, why
Sure.
don't we hire them to write a right kind of RFP?
So I'll answer the second question first. There are capable technical consultants, of course, due to brain drain, and they have not been incentivized adequately. But world over, you can see a lot of our desis are doing a phenomenal work. So coming back, it would take only 1 to 2% of the overall amount which is needed to build that infrastructure, just about 1 to 2% for small monitoring and reporting ICCC. And if it's a larger ICCC also, you still have 10 to 12% for including the management of the infra for, let's say, 5 years.
Look what we are talking about here.
Yeah.
We are talking about 1% or maximum to 10 to 12%.
12%,
There's
correct.
hardly anything.
True.
And when we know we have wasted so much of money, especially, I mean, like we have wasted 46,000 crores in smart cities.
True.
And even in telecom, 1 lakh crore. But you see,
Huge cost we have
huge
wasted.
huge cost. And also you see that the kind of industry, the graph this is following it for
Yeah.
the next 10 years, it is just growing. If you can just see that graph,
Sure.
the kind of industry we are moving in, how it is moving, the way it is moving, it is just an upward graph. And all this technology, ICCC have been utilized by all the successful cities or the countries worldwide, including China. I mean, like to be successful or to be where they are today.
Yeah, I think we can just, they have used the ICCC in terms of maths and science today. They, in fact, the cities, the companies have moved themselves, relocated themselves to the right kind of cities where they got the boost. If you see Beijing, for that matter, they have utilized the ICCC to get their power tariffs right. They have made their city clean. They have made the movement of public transport, and they have also encouraged the oldest way of commute in Beijing, which was cycles to office. So ICCC can be used, I think, in various ways. It all depends upon the functional and technical consultants, what we have discussed. I think the other cities, if we talk about Paris, they have used the ICCC to become the fashion capital of the world, and similarly Tokyo, the manufacturing capital of the world, including their Six Sigma training programs. So I think ICCC is a
Yeah.
boon.
And look, I mean, there is a great examples which you are talking about, especially, I mean, like, which caught my attention was China.
Yeah.
I mean, look where they are for the last 2 decades, or not even 2 decades, a decade back, where they were and where they are now.
56th position to number one position.
See, I mean, it's kind of an eye opener for all of us, especially for the
Absolutely.
developing nation like us. I mean, like
True.
what we can do together with the help of ICCC, if I have to talk about.
Sure.
But you see, I mean, then in that case, I mean, like onus lies on us to have some kind of a training or the learning program for ICCC,
Yeah, true.
and also to create a small command centers for various verticals, or one vertical at least, so that people know what, or can know what the benefits are coming out of ICCC.
I'm sure. I think one is we should get our great technical heads back to this country. And then, of course, we can put together smaller education programs on ICCC for the large community, because infrastructure is the only way to develop a nation. And
Absolutely.
if we know that ICCCs can be used very effectively in the growth of the nation, then why not inculcate smaller programs, and which can be done at various levels of institutes. And I think there's an example I can sort here is one senior industrial colleague of mine, Mr. Ranjan Chopra,
Uh,
the proprietor and the managing director of Team Computers, and he started a GDC in Uttarakhand, rural Uttarakhand, and he employed those people after giving them the adequate training. So that goes to show that he has followed what San Jose, the rural San Jose, did in the United States. It's almost 150 miles from San Francisco, but they realized that their land was cheap and they got data centers to be
Absolutely.
built there. And after the data centers were built, they got the rural population to be trained and got them jobs. And that's
Great.
how I think
That's the way to go. I
that's the
mean,
way to go. Yeah,
absolutely.
true.
But then I remember, Tibri, you were talking about this Portland railways,
Yeah, yeah,
so if
yeah.
we can,
Portland light rail. So
right,
you're talking about pilot
pilot
project.
projects,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think the importance of pilot project in India is huge, and the pilot project also is part of the overall project cost. So it is not that we are spending anything
Correct. Absolutely.
extra. So
Absolutely.
these people, and I went to the United States because we had done some projects in 2013 and then 2016 in Gurgaon Metro and Kolkata Metro. And these people thought that probably they can pick my brains. So, as I was speaking at the Engineering Institute of Arizona University, these people came to me and said, "Okay, why don't you write a few best practices?"
Yeah, yeah.
And when I went to Oregon, they used this pilot thing which was written by me to concur with their technical consultants so that they can see if it is matching
Yeah, no,
whatever, because we
yes.
had done something before these people. So
No, this is
amazing.
absolutely good example,
Yeah.
and how we can utilize your expertise or the DC's expertise who are writing all these uh, terms and
For
conditions
the
for
other
the
countries,
other countries,
unfortunately, yeah.
and you rightly said, talked about what Rajan Chopra did, like in India, so these are the great examples we can learn
Yeah,
from, you know.
abs- absolutely. But I think here I would like to give a very humble message to the government of India. They have set a few programs like MSME and Make in India, but these Make in India and MSME programs are being used these days by international players who are very, very big,
Okay.
and they just put some assembly plants here, and they are putting the Make in India tag, which is not helping the technocrats who have moved out, or the niche companies like ourselves, to compete against these already large people. So I think IDDM, which was instituted a few years back, is only getting used by Ministry of Defense.
Okay.
It is the indigenously developed and manufactured products in India. So the ICCCs, which are developed here, should get the kind of recognition which they I actually should get.
So let me ask you a personal. What are
Ji.
you doing currently?
So, very interesting. So, we are working on a large oil and gas ICCC project. And they, of course, wanted all their dredging plants and all the other refineries to come into one single location, and with a DR location at a second place. So we are working with these people. The experience which I am getting currently is we have a solid team of functional consultants from the custom itself. So the gentleman who's leading the project has got the procurement team in, the finance team in, and also involved some people from the top management to be part of, to write the part of the RFP. Now imagine, once we put our points in, you would get the kind of success.
Ensure, I mean, ensure,
Ensured, yeah,
ensure. So
absolutely.
basically, what you are trying to say, look, for any successful project, it is important to envisage, have the clear objectivity
Correct.
and defined by the functional consultant,
True.
coupled by the subject matter experts like yourself,
Sure.
and also with the team. You have a so this is ultimately it's a team which matters. Who puts
It
the
is the
ball
team.
in the goal. If I have
Correct.
to say so.
True.
But then
Absolutely.
let me ask you another thing. Since you've been working on this particular thing for long, and you have a great experience with both Forge as well as for police, if you can just talk about, in lieu of what the SLAs, SOPs, and SOEs stands in those kind of a largest projects, that will be very useful
Yeah,
for our
sure.
customers.
Excellent question. I think the SOE, which is done for, let's say, a similar project in the Forge, might not be exactly, but then even if you can use, let's say, 70-80% of that SOE, or understand what the functional consultants are putting together, uh, I think it would be a great asset for the next project. Now,
Correct.
having said that, let me talk about the police projects here. And here I would start with Uttar Pradesh Police. They started this ICCC almost a decade back. Recently, they have got an objective by the Chief Minister himself, which is jam-free roads in the Uttar Pradesh towns.
All right.
Now, the first thing, people might think that it's a very not a big objective, but having said that, it is bringing safety to people like us. It is giving the right of way to ambulances and emergency services. It would remove a lot of road rages which might happen. And I think the biggest point is India is infamous for the highest number of accidents in the world, and probably Uttar Pradesh and Bihar stands out. So I think what bigger desh seva can
Absolutely.
the Uttar Pradesh police do
Yeah, but
by
then
getting this project in
interestingly, I mean, like
place?
just staying with the police, if you can talk about your Delhi police
Yeah,
experience, CCTNS, something like that,
yeah,
yeah,
crime and criminal technical network system. Uh,
tracking it was right,
Tracking,
tracking, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, correct.
correct.
So I think here the tracking was really used as it is suggested. So what happened after Nirbhaya, though it took a little time for the Delhi police to get things together, but having said that, they put an ICCC in Shalimar Bagh, and our objective was to get these working ladies who were not from the well-off families. They came home by regular buses, by the leased buses or the cabs employed by the companies they work for. Now, in the evening or late at night when they used to come home, they used to feel very threatened and uncomfortable going back to their residences or PGs, which had dark alleys in a lot of places. So and CCTV cameras were not the right kind of tool. So the requirement very clearly said we need to protect this lady. So we put uh, what do you call microphones there,
Wow.
and we coupled the microphones with artificial intelligence. And if the ladies would have said help, 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 uh, the information was picked up immediately, passed on to the nearest beat constable, who knew that the information is also going to the nearest police station. These were 128 Mahila police stations. So the beat constable realized the importance of reaching the place, and I think 6 7 years we got fantastic reviews from the ladies who got the benefit of this
I mean,
technique.
look, super example,
Yeah,
But you see, I mean, like what I am underlining here, to have the right objective
yeah,
defined in any project is so important. Like you talked about these black spots. I
yeah,
mean, this can be only captured by us right consultants or right technical people who can really look into and define the solution.
yeah.
So my question next to you would be, what will be the right time to bring in these technical consultants if I have to call upon.
Sure. Very happy to quote my guru here, Mr. Mike Williams, the president and the who's who of CDC, who brought the command control technology to the world. He, in fact, went on to consult the Republic of South Africa and China. So he was at that level. So he used to say that when plumbing consultants leave the infrastructure, you need to get people like us, the digital transformation
Okay.
people, into the project.
And what are these plumbing consultants?
Doing. Okay, so probably the connotation was that pipes are laid in the rubble of any large foundation. And here he meant that the SOEs and SOPs to be put before the concrete is put in. So, at the very initial
Correct.
time when you're setting up a project, you need to get technical consultants in who would
No,
obviously get the
absolutely.
objective right from the
So,
functional consultants.
correct. So
And
these
so that's the
technical
idea.
consultants are getting into SOE, SLAs, and all these things. Along with it, training, tutoring,
Oh,
and also
absolutely.
knowledge transfer is very important.
Correct. So
So
I think the pilot project, as you said, was the first level when you actually did a little amount of made sure that the project was in the right line, and then of course the functional consultants, it's a very constant continuous process where the functional
it is.
consultant and
It
technical
is. It
consultant
is.
work
It is.
together to
Correct.
write the best
Correct. So
practices.
look, I mean, like why I'm getting into it, because let me quote you an example here. There's one project which I was associated with earlier.
Sure.
This was on the paramilitary campuses to look into the 5 campuses, which need security, and
Okay.
CCTV was one of the components.
Uh-huh. Okay.
What it is again a kind of a cut and paste because we have seen CCTVs in the smart cities. So ultimately,
Oh
what
my
happened
God.
when the
Okay.
RFP came in, it became so bloated. Uh,
Because cut and paste from the
Absolutely. So
larger smart city.
nobody
Oh
had
God.
the real view what exactly is needed. So it didn't see a day's light. I mean, it don't go when past the procurement or the finance. Forget about the top management. It is only after 3 years when the person was transferred, we again revisited the RFP, and it brought again to look into where we faltered. And now, as we speak, it is getting
Implemented.
implemented. So you see, I mean, like, but then 3 years got wasted. You know,
And these were border town campuses.
absolutely, absolutely, you nailed it. I mean, like you said
Yeah,
it.
because I was also associated for a smaller period. That's how I know of this project.
So you see, I mean, like when we are talking about the level of governance or the like what we are talking about, the capturing the right objectives. So you see all the right things which have been done by these countries for their cities. I mean, like that's where they achieve the success, and we need to do exactly the same to
We
replicate.
just have
No,
to,
correct.
I think, we need to copy and paste their the science and maths they have given to us.
So, I mean, like you said it, it's on record. The kind of the success stories which we have seen from developed nations, and especially also from China, the kind of benefits they have seen out of ICCC. We can exactly replicate the same thing, and especially, I mean, the kind of a growth story which we have in India as we speak. I mean, I can name few verticals, where we can definitely use them. Look how we are growing in our health sector. I mean, health sector is such an important thing, and so much of emphasis is being given to the health sector. And with regard to our population as well, we have so much of medical tourism coming in, and with that, the another sector takes a prime spot is transportation or and the inline airlines. If I have to talk about manufacturing is another vertical which is a big enough because the kind of focus area which we have in India with the vision of Prime Minister 2047, so much of things which we are looking into the manufacturing side. So there where ICCC can make a huge impact. I mean, these are the sectors. I mean, we can name a few more. We can talk about the education. We can talk about the banking and the finance because banking is finance is definitely related to what I've talked about, be it transportation, be it health, or be it manufacturing. Where it cuts across all the segments. So these are the places which we can look and have the benefits. So, folks, I mean, like, look, as I said, no, when we started this discussion, we talked about what is ICCC, what is the relevance. Now, I hope we all know what the relevance of ICCC is and where we are in India, what other countries had done right, and what we are doing in India. So, let me cap it up. I'll read out the definition of ICCC. For me, what ICCC stands for is an integrated command and control center, is a collaborative workplace where key decision makers monitor and manage incident response activities in real time, enhancing their situational awareness. Conceptually, a command center is a source of leadership and guidance to ensure that service and order is maintained rather than an information center or help desk. Its tasks are achieved by monitoring the environment and reacting to events, from the relatively harmless to major crises using predefined procedures. But without the right know how and training, it would be as good as time wasted and the money, obviously. So, thank you, Steve, once again. And
Thanks
thank
so
you,
much, sir.
Foss. Thank you very much. And thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.